Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming back for our second afternoon of our foreign school training. So we have a packed schedule for you this afternoon, and I want to introduce my two colleagues, Ty Baker and eZ-Audit. Sorry, I'm going blank. Can't speak anymore after yesterday. So Ty and Eddie are presenting to foreign schools for the first time, so I have given them glowing reports about how lovely you all are and that you're so excited to hear about eZ-Audit. So there's going to be some amazing information for you. And just one other housekeeping issue. Yesterday we found a scarf in this room, so it must belong to a foreign school officials, so I'm going to keep it for the rest of the afternoon if you have a colleague who's lost something. If not, then we'll turn it into lost and found. So I'm going to turn you over to Ty and Eddie.
Thank you, Marcia. So welcome to the eZ-Audit update for foreign schools. I'm Ty Baker. I am the current operations manager for the eZ-Audit application. I have worked on the eZ-Audit since its inception back in 2003. I've been the project manager and worked through all of those updates we've had along the way for our domestic institutions. So now we're going to move into the foreign schools coming in, and we're happy to have you all start using eZ-Audit soon. As Marcia mentioned, this is Eddie Ortiz. He has been working with eZ-Audit for about 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. Some of you may recognize Eddie, his name, because he may have communicated with you either by the phone or through email with some of your letters that you currently receive when your audit or financial has been completed or incomplete in some cases. So, okay. So now a few things I need to make sure you remember, that if you have questions, we do have a question period at the end of the presentation. Marcia and team will be walking around with the mic at that time. But, you know, if you do have questions that can't wait, then please raise your hand and we'll take your questions then. Let's see, did I remember everything? Okay. Oh, and remind you that you will receive an evaluation via email after the conference to provide your evaluation of the session. Okay? Okay. So, what is eZ-Audit? First, let me ask, how many of you are aware of eZ-Audit or may have used eZ-Audit? Okay, great. It's quite a few. So eZ-Audit is the web-based application that allows you to submit your financial statements and compliance audits electronically to us at Federal Student Aid. We started back in April 1st, 2003, on April Fool's Day. We launched eZ-Audit. At that time, foreign schools were able to submit an eZ-Audit. We included you in our initial release. However, we did have some feedback that the system didn't necessarily align with your processes at that time. So foreign schools were allowed to continue to do the paper-based process of mailing their financials and compliance into us. Since we've started, we've received about 70,000 annual submissions, and that's as of September 30th. So that number has increased. We've registered about 2,000 users since August 30th, and that continues to grow every day. So here's just a picture of what the past is, right? You had to mail 3 copies in to us. You wanted to know, did we receive it? have we reviewed it yet? And then we move to right now, we did sort of implement an electronic process where you have an option of emailing your audits and financials to our FSA Foreign School Audits mailbox. And you still either mail 3 copies and you have those same questions. Did we receive it? And has it been reviewed? So the future, we're looking at no more mailing. You'll log into eZ-Audit, submit, and you'll be able to check your status 24/7. So you'll always know where it is. And to date, we have not lost an audit or financial statement in eZ-Audit. So our benefits is instant acknowledgement of receipt. So as soon as you hit that submit button, you'll get a notice saying it's been received, date and time stamped. The process should take, the submission process should take about an hour or less. And like I mentioned, you'll have online submission status available to you 24/7. You'll receive automated notifications and access to historical submissions. And we'll talk more about the statuses and the automatic notifications later. But the access to your historical submissions allows you to go back and view your prior years that you've submitted right there online. So how do we get started with eZ-Audit? So the first process is you're going to select your institution administrator. And then with that, you'll have to register your institution administrator, and they'll receive access. And the institution administrator role allows that administrator to give access to other users at your school or your auditor, whomever you wish. But once you get registered, you complete our registration letter. You'll receive your username and password via email. Then you can identify your additional users. We have data entry users, submitters. You'll attach your PDF. And then once you get your username and password, you're ready to log in. And then, as I said, once you select the institution administrator, it provides and manages access to the school users. You can have more than one institution administrator. We do find that sometimes schools need to have more than one. That way, someone has access to be able to log in, see the status, or provide additional access. And as I said, you will complete a registration letter. The registration letter is currently posted on our website, ezaudit.ed.gov, and we'll be updating those instructions for the foreign schools to be more specific to your needs. And once you're registered, the institution administrator receives a username and password, 2 emails, one with the username and one with the password. Now, the institution administrator is the only one that we can register at FSA. So they have to come through us to be registered. Now, once the institution administrator is set up, they can then assign username and password to additional users, such as data entry user. So if you want someone to be able to log in, enter the information on the form, and then they can save it. And then if you have a submitter role, if you can assign that to someone who needs to review it, approve it before it gets submitted. And then they'll have the access to actually hit the submit button. Now, one person can serve in all roles. So that, again, that is up to the school how you want to manage that access. And we do find that schools choose their auditors to be their institution administrators, and they handle that whole process. But again, that's totally up to you and how you want to do that. So now you want to be prepared to submit your audit and financial. So have it ready to go. Of course, it must be prepared in accordance with the established guidelines and regulations. And then the attachments must be in PDF format. So you'll be attaching a financial statement, compliance audit, a corrective action plan if required. And then you also have an option where you can attach other documents if it's something you want us to know. Types of submissions. So the main submission process is the annual one that you have to do every year. Currently, for our participating institutions, you'll receive a link that will automatically appear on your homepage. This is create your fiscal year 12/31/2019 annual submission. And the annual submission, again, mostly will include both the financial and the compliance audit. They must be submitted together if applicable. And we're going to go through some of the different scenarios on what you're going to submit and when. But please note here, if we don't have your prior year, fiscal year submission, you will not be able to submit your current year. But once you submit your prior year, the current year link will become available to you. Other submission types that will be available are for new institutions coming in, applying for Title IV, and they will come in and submit their financial statement once they've completed the EAP. If you're being reinstated, a financial statement, of course, only for that process. And then if you have a change in fiscal year end, you'll use eZ-Audit to notify us of that. We ask that you let us know that as soon as possible, so that way you'll get the appropriate reminder notifications and correct fiscal year end links to be able to submit your annual submission. Then we'll also have stub audit option and a closeout audit option, where if school loses eligibility for whatever reason, then you need to submit a closeout audit to us. And all of that will be available for you to use eZ-Audit for. So the next step once you're in is completing the submission information. So what you'll do is use, and you can go to the next slide for me, use your financial statement that you're going to attach as a PDF and submit and enter that information on the submission pages. So it's broken down by financial statement submission page and compliance audit submission page. So the screenshots here are from a domestic page. And so your screens will look similar, but it will have some changes based on the type of school that you are. So we have different pages if you're for-profit, nonprofit, or public institutions. So if you see here, you have links that are on the side, and those link to the different sections, the financial statement section, compliance audit. We have a completeness checklist page where it lists information about what you need to submit, what should be included with your audit and financial, and then the upload attachments page and the submit page. So again, you can navigate through the screens that way, or at the bottom of the page, you'll see it's a cancel button, which cancels your actions. You can save, or you can save and proceed, which will navigate you through the next page or options. So the first page of the financial statement information page, there will be links where you'll have to complete the financial statement template. This information is used to compute composite score, and that happens upon submission. So you'll use your financial statement to complete the template, and that information will be reviewed, wants to submit it to us for completeness and acceptability. We do have some changes that are coming with the current balance sheet and statement of financial position, statement of activities, and the income statement. Changes related to new accounting regs. And then we're also implementing the borrowed defense regulation, the supplemental schedule. So starting when we roll this out, it'll be optional on which format you will use. So you can either use the current one, which is the balance sheet income statement, or you'll be able to use the supplemental schedule, which has the breakdown of the primary reserve ratio, equity, and net income ratio. So again, completing the submission information pages, as I mentioned, on with the financial statements. Let me go back one. Again, this is a screenshot of the proprietary for-profit information, but it will look different once you start seeing it. So once you are going through, or as you're going through your submission, you will have edit checks. You'll get error messages if you missed a required field or something is not adding up correctly. So you will get that information as you go through. And then you are allowed to save your sessions, so you don't have to complete it at one time. It allows you to come back and complete your session and submit when you're ready. So with your submission for the foreign schools, and I mentioned that before you all were really able to submit, but it didn't align with your processes, and so now it will, and part of that is questions we are adding, such as what we're calling gateway questions, where we will, when you log in, it'll ask you questions about, did you receive any funding during your most recently completed fiscal year? And if no, you'll be required to submit a financial statement. Your U.S. GAG is home country, and that compliance audits would not be required with that submission. And then if you select yes, then you'd be required to submit your financial statements and your standard engagement compliance audit. So based on the type of institution, your institution type, you'll get certain gateway questions that will, once based on your selection, will move you to the appropriate process of what is required for submission. So we ask more about funding level, and all of that information will be laid out there for you, and it will tell you what will be required next once you make those selections. Okay. So again, on completing the submission, we do have a step-by-step guide that will be available to you all. Currently, it's out there posted on the website. It's now related to, of course, the domestic institutions, but the guides will be updated to include all the changes for foreign schools. The guide is, when it says step-by-step, it's pretty much step-by-step. And right now, we don't have any training plan, so where we can do hands-on training. And so the step-by-step guide is the tool that you would utilize to navigate through the system. But it is easy. It is easy, I must say. But, and very, very simple to follow. Okay. So we have here school groups. I don't know if you all are aware of school groups. I'm sure you're probably not. And school groups is a term that we in FSA, we came up with to manage submissions where we would get the same financial statement or compliance audit that was covering multiple OPEIDs. So before, with the paper process, we would get duplicate copies of the same statement. So we came up with this process where we say, you can come in as a group, we identify you as a locator, OPEID, you're gonna submit on behalf of all of these schools covered in your financial statement and or your compliance audit. So here we have the compliance audits for school groups for foreign schools mostly would be a compliance audit covering multiple OPIDs, and you would submit separate financial statements for each of your OPEIDs. So the system would be set up so when you logged in, you ask that question, here's your group, make sure it's accurate. There are some challenges there with timing and making sure everyone knows, depending on when it came into the group or left the group, that it should be covered under a certain fiscal year in. So that is one thing, if you fall in that category, I don't believe many of you do, but if you do, to make sure that you review that information before you start your submission to make sure it's accurate, and then if it's not, of course, you can call our help desk and we will have everything, set up appropriately to allow you to submit as a group. So I mentioned before we had a checklist, completeness checklist page, where it lists the items of what should be included in your submission. So basically it covers, making sure your audit has the appropriate signature on letterhead, all of that information there. And then we also have a place where you can provide us contact information on who we should speak to or who we could call if we needed to ask some questions about your submission. So we have a place for your financial statement, and we have a place for your compliance audit. And then we also have a place for you to leave us any additional notes about your submission, anything you need us to know, make sure we review, we're aware of, you can let us know there. And that's pretty straightforward information. And then we're to the upload attachments page. And as I mentioned, you have to have a PDF. Your audit and compliance audit must be in PDF, and any other additional document you attach should be in PDF format. And we don't accept anything with PII. We'll have more information that's posted. When you go to this upload page, you see, it's hard to see, of course, but that blurb of words there will have information about what you can attach and submit. So please make sure you read that information before you start attaching your documents. So when you go to attach your documents, you're simply browsing your PC and selecting what you want to upload. You will have an option once you've uploaded, if you made a mistake and selected the wrong document, you can delete it and upload the correct document. And then it's always going to be an other there if you want to provide additional information to us. So now we're at the next step and you're ready to submit. So simply just hit submit to Ed, then you'll get that notification. Your submission has been reviewed by the Department of Education. You'll be contacted if additional information is needed after the submission has passed the edit and completeness check. And that's what we refer to, that completeness and check, as our acceptability review. And a lot of you may have interacted with our acceptability review team regarding your submissions that you now submit in paper. That team will now be reviewing your information through eZ-Audit. So once you've received your instant acknowledgement, that will post on your institution homepage, let you know here it is, and it's not been reviewed, or whatever the next status is, and we'll go over that in a second. So if by chance your submission does not pass the acceptability review, you would receive an incomplete notification saying that you must resubmit. So once you are notified that you must resubmit, you'll get an email notification saying, please log into eZ-Audit and review your incomplete letter. So you'll have 7 days to follow up, meaning 7 days to resubmit. You're only going to be required to update the portion that was deemed incomplete. So if only the financial was deemed incomplete, that's the only piece that you have to address. And then vice versa. If it was the compliance, then only the compliance. Then if it's both, then of course both parts will have to be addressed and resubmitted. So once you resubmit, then again, you'll receive a notification that your resubmission has been received. And then the key thing to mention here and to note is for when you go in, if you receive this incomplete letter, notification rather, you have to click on the link and read the letter before the resubmission link becomes available. So that was something we had to implement because sometimes folks weren't actually reading our letters. So we track that you've clicked on it and we know you got it, and we'll be expecting it back in 7 days. Now we do have a follow-up, a second incomplete letter process. If you don't submit in 7 days, you'll get another notification saying to resubmit. And you only get 2 incomplete notifications. So next, we're talking about the status of our submissions and notifications, which I heard is what everyone wanted to know about. Will you be notified and where your submissions are? So submission status is available 24/7 on your institution homepage. And status changes based on the state of your submission. So we do send out reminder notifications. We send 60-day and 30-day notifications saying, hey, your submission is due, log in now, and when you're ready to submit. Now, the link for your annual submission becomes available the day after your fiscal year ends. So if you have a 12/30 fiscal year end, January 1, that link is available for you to submit. So some of the notices, again, submission due date, here it says your fiscal year end 6/30/2019. Annual submission is due on December 31st, 2019. And the due dates are set in the system based on your institution type. So whether you're due 6 months, like our domestics, we have for-profit due 6 months from within their fiscal year end. Our nonprofits and publics are due within 9 months of their fiscal year end. So whatever your institution type is, and based on when you're required to submit, that's what your notification will be based on. We have a review status where it says your 12/31/2019 annual submission submitted 6/30/2020, and you see it has the time 1 o'clock 15 seconds has been received. Review of your submission has not yet started. So what that means is we've got it. It's in our queue for that acceptability review. Then we have a submission receipt date. Again, this is based on your submission type. This example, your change of fiscal year-end submission was received on March 1st, 2019. And then another review status is that your 6/30/2019 annual submission submitted on December 1st is incomplete. Click here to view your incomplete letter. And the incomplete letter, and it states this in the notification that's on your homepage, the incomplete letter must be viewed before resubmission. And then we have the notification of your fiscal year-end 6/30/2019 annual submission submitted on 12/5/2019 has been reviewed and is complete. And then if the compliance audit contained findings, it says click here to view your final audit determination letter. Now, this particular status is if there were minor insignificant findings and therefore it was not sent to our school participation division for further review. So it's basically no, yes, you had findings, they're minor insignificant, you need to address them, and the letter states, what you need to do with that. If you did have what we call a deficient audit, then your school participation division would be notifying you accordingly with a final audit determination letter, which is not sent through eZ-Audit. eZ-Audit does not post those online. It's some notifications we do, but most of those types of letters right now are still mailed, but you'll receive a notification that it's coming. But right now, they're still mailed physically. So hopefully soon we'll get to being able to issue it electronically. So, and then here's just a caption of what the 30 and 60-day email notifications look like. And again, it'll be addressed to your school, your information. Note that our notifications are sent to the president, financial aid director. Some are sent to the chief financial officer, and you may not have all these officials, but these how it's set in the system. The institution, eZ-Audit institution administrator, and certain notifications are also sent to the contacts that you listed in your submission, where we said who should we contact if we have this information. But all notices are sent to the president and the financial aid director, their email. And on your incomplete letters, they're generated by the system based on what we've entered or what we may have found is incomplete in your submission, and the letters will detail that information. It'll have a section for your financial statement and a section for your compliance audit if applicable. And we also send out delinquent notifications. So if you miss your due date, you will get a notification of failure to submit or resubmit. So failure to resubmit happens after you didn't comply after that second notification. It'll say you'll get this failure to submit or resubmit email notification. And within the email, there's always a link to be able to go directly to eZ-Audit and be able to sign in there. Okay. So, next, how do you register for eZ-Audit? And I think I mentioned this and went through it a little bit, but the details are posted out on the website. It's a link to our registration letter. This is just a snippet of what it reads. And the process is, once you prepare the letter, it has to be on your institution letterhead, signed by your president. And the information we ask for is who's going to be your institution administrator, and we need their email address, phone number, and then we also make sure that you indicate what your OPE ID is, fiscal year end information. Now, you can fax the letter, but really, we recommend that you send us a copy, scan it, and email it to us. Unfortunately, that is still a paper process for us. We don't have any online registration at this time. Hopefully soon. But once we get your letter, you'll receive your username and password within 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. So we wanted to be able to do maybe early registration with you guys, but we're not ready yet in the system. So we can't go through that process yet because, I mean, once we get it, you'll be able to log in and see your information, but we're not ready to launch. And so I do realize I didn't tell you when we would be starting with foreign schools submitting an eZ-Audit. So our target date is end of March 2020. Now, we're working to get this information out to you. The OMB notice is going to be going out for comment, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. And it will have, information related, some screenshots, and that information, some of the information I read today about the gateway questions out there. But we hope to be able to launch in March. That is the plan. And then that way, we're going to pick, fiscal year ends that will be due in March. We would start there with those. But we will be sending out communication, planning, and making sure you have the user guides and everything you need to know, and setting up registration as soon as we know we're ready to, we're ready to go with you guys being able to get access. We'll send something out saying, start sending in your registration information now. So you can go take a look at what's required. It's fairly simple, that information, and also checking out the current user guides that we have out there for the domestic schools. Again, pretty simple to follow, and it would be minimal changes for you all to submit, because basically you're following the same process. So if you have questions, and some of you may have already contacted our eZ-Audit help desk, because we do have the help desk set up where foreign schools can call in, use option 5 to ask questions regarding their current financial statements and compliance audits. So right now, this is the help desk that you would continue to use for your eZ-Audit submissions. So as you see, we have a mailbox, the FSA eZ-Audit at ed.gov, and then we have a number you can call, and our hours are 9 to 5 Eastern time right now. We currently are using that FSA foreign school audit mailbox for if folks are choosing to email their audits and financials in. We may keep that mailbox, but that hasn't been decided yet, open for foreign schools to use. But that hasn't been decided. So our main mailbox is through FSA eZ-Audit at ed.gov. Okay. So, Eddie, did I miss anything we need to talk about? Okay, so we're ahead of schedule, and I apologize if I went too fast. So, questions? Marcia, Larry, we have questions. We ended earlier. We went a little fast, so.
Is this on? Yes, it's
So,
Hi, sorry. How I've understood that then is there's a new login, new website, new paper form to sign up. That seems to contradict the next gen, one website, one login.
Yes.
Is this
Yes, I knew you were going to ask that. Someone was going to ask about that. So eZ-Audit will be phased in to next gen at
Okay.
some point, right? But because we wanted to get foreign schools into eZ-Audit, and we're also actually bringing in lenders, GAs, third-party servicers into eZ-Audit as well, because we currently receive their audits in paper format. So we're phasing them in as well. So because we wanted to eliminate that headache of all that paper and where's my audit, I don't know where it is it complete? We wanted to move forward with bringing foreign schools into eZ-Audit now. But as eZ-Audit phases into next gen, then yes, it would be all one sign-in, one place for you to go to do that process. But that's at least, I would say, 12 months out. I don't have an exact date, but I know it's at least 12 months out.
Okay. And one final quick question was that you said that you could see historical audit reports and that type of thing. Will that only be for audits that have been submitted via eZ-Audit, or will you be able to see, will you guys be uploading previous manually submitted audits too?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Sorry, you mentioned that you could view historical
Oh,
audit find. So will that only be audits that have been submitted via eZ-Audit, so therefore it starts afresh from now?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it starts with when you start using eZ-Audit. We don't have any of the paper in there. So yes, once you start, then your subsequent submissions will be there for you to view. Okay, I guess some more hands.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So on that registration letter, the initial registration letter, can we list more than one administrator on that letter?
Yes, you will be able to list as many as you need on that letter, on that one letter.
Great. And on slide 10, when you talked about initial submission, you had mentioned something about a prior year submission, so that you couldn't, next one. Right. So
Yes.
prior year, so obviously we're not going to have a prior year, so that's not going to stop us, right, for,
Your initial use of eZ-Audit, you would not be stopped, right? Because this is your first time
Got
using
it.
it. But say you were late your next year,
Yep.
right? And then your following year came up, you would have to submit that prior year before submitting the current year.
okay, got it. And we also submit a third-party servicer agreement with our audit, so is that something we would just upload?
If that's required to be submitted with your audit, then yes, you would upload it, yes.
And for school group, we have a combined financial statement, but individual compliance audits for each of the OPIDs.
Then you'll be allowed to do that. Eddie, make sure we make that.
In the setup, when we set it
Yes.
up. Okay.
Yes.
Got
We'll
it.
make sure that you can submit that way also.
Great, thank you.
Okay. She's gonna make her way up here too, sir.
Hi. You mentioned the gateway. For schools that have low loan volumes, will the gateway immediately go through to just a compliance audit submission?
So yes, we have gateway questions, depending on what they are, like what you need. We have zero funding, $1 to 499,000, 500,000 to 2.9, then 3 million to 9.9, and then 10 million or more. So depending on where you land, the system will tell you what you need to submit based on that.
Hello. I was wondering if you can help me. We did complete the submission of the compliance audit and financial statement by June 30, but I didn't receive any response or letter or notification.
Okay, so can you come up and see Eddie?
Okay.
He's going to take your information.
Okay.
And we'll get back to you on, find out a status of where that is.
Okay.
Okay, and if we can find you during the conference some way we can communicate with you, we'll get that for you by tomorrow.
Okay,
You should be able to
thank you.
find the status.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi,
I wanted to ask if, let's say, the administrator goes ahead and submits the documents to the ed, will the, let's say I'm the user, for the data entry, will we be able to see the documents that were sent to the ed
Yes.
later on?
You, as a data entry submitter, you have access to view, go in and log in and see what was submitted.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, for the people that are users, do they need to have FSA user IDs or not?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
For the people that are signed up as users, do they need to have FSA user IDs, or can it be people without FSA user
So
IDs?
when you say FSA user ID, because through your other systems,
Yeah.
how you say, unfortunately, we're not behind that system right now. So it's an eZ-Audit issued
Okay.
user ID and password.
So they don't need to be users of the other
No,
systems?
they don't.
Okay,
No.
thanks.
In regards to the incomplete letter, the first and the second, if an institution fails to resubmit after the second incomplete, do they fail the audit, or do they still have time to, what's the repercussion? in
You will
regards-
be receiving additional notification outside of eZ-Audit system
Okay,
from your school participation division team
okay.
regarding, if it's a penalty, whatever else,
Okay.
need follow-up. And I believe there is some language in the letter that may speak to that process as well. I know we had some more hands.
Any
Anyone?
other questions?
Questions?
Do the user need to have individual email address when they sign up, or can we use a general, because we have a general
Well,
federal loans email
You,
address?
you really shouldn't be sharing user IDs and passwords. So, I mean, if you use, because
Just for
it's an individual that was,
Just for receiving emails.
you can use whatever email you want,
Uh-huh.
but it's an individual user ID and password. Right? So we don't recommend, you should not be using or sharing your passwords.
Oh, no, it's not the password, it's just
Okay.
where to receive, I don't know, the letters or the
Oh, okay.
notifications, just to have one
Oh, yes, you
general
can
email
use
address
that if,
instead of the personal email address, because if you're off, if you're not in the
so
office.
the addresses that we use or information, how we notify the president and financial aid directors, and I should have mentioned this part, is we get that information from the e-app, right? So whatever you officially put in the system, that's what we use to notify you. Our system gets that information from our data system, PEPS, and that is what we use as your official notification. The only email addresses we collect and use would be for the eZ-Audit institution administrator and whoever you put in the contact information. Because there is an information or institution profile page that is in eZ-Audit that you'll see, and it'll list your school's name, OPID, I believe your DUNS, some demographic information, as well as who your FAA and your president is. But that information, and it'll state there that it can't be corrected in eZ-Audit. You would have to go through the e-app to correct. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for attending the session. Thank you in advance for using eZ-Audit. We look for.
Thank you very much, Ty and Eddie. That was great. I wanted to let everyone know that I plan to leave FSA at the end of December. And And I have known some of you for years and years and years, and some of you I met yesterday. I've had an amazing time, and you have all made my life just, I don't know, so much more wonderful. We work all year to bring you this, and to have a session like yesterday and then today has been really rewarding for me. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time in England, so all you UK schools, I might be coming for coffee. So thank you for everything. I hope we can stay in touch in some way. I said that I asked Larry and Carla to be here so that I could say you're going to be in really good hands with both of them, and Larry escaped. So I'm sure he'll be back at some point. But yeah, thank you for all the wonderful experiences you've given me.
Thank you.
So I think we finished a little bit early, so we have the eZ-Audit session coming up next. Not eZ-Audit, sorry. I've left already, apparently. We have the new foreign school audit guide that you've been asking for since 2010 and earlier. So we're going to have a great session on that.